Public hearing, consideration of the final recommended budget for fiscal year 2025-2026 for the County of Lake and special districts governed by the Board of Supervisors. Casey, I see you sitting here. You can go ahead and have the floor.
Thank you. So I am going to share a presentation. Okay. So before I get into the budget, I would like to extend my appreciation for Sarah Shukar for all that she does with the budget, and Wendy Hoffman. She helped me with all of these slides, as well as the cover and the graphics in the budget presentation. So a few updates since writing the memo. The amount received for TOT is actually $1,346,443, which is actually at $413,000 higher than the year prior. Additionally, cannabis was slightly higher at just over $3.5 million for an increase of $921,000. So this graph here demonstrates the general fund budgets with the amount of general fund that was budgeted versus used. You'll notice that in 21-22 and 22-23 there was quite a difference. A large amount of that is from ARPA, which was 12.5 million. So that was budgeted but then not used until just a few years ago. And then also just with the changes of COVID.
Appropriation or expense?
So that is the revenues minus the expenses, and then the difference. So next is the changes to the capital assets. So the Sheriff's Department and special districts have quite a few, or a few different new projects, and then there are some modifications to existing projects. That's not good. So a few notable changes are the Kelsville sidewalks, South Main Street rehab, and the Soda Bay Road rehab projects. No, it's not going to click. There we go. Okay. So departments have requested a few different changes to the position allocation. I don't know where to put that. Since the posting of the budget, a few positions were requested, including a staff service manager for the district attorney's office, an admin assistant senior for public works, and then for social services, increasing one staff service analyst 1/2 and decreasing a staff services specialist. So the debt financing lease revenue bond, so we started at just over 20 million. We have drawn down 4.6 million of that for the Armory project. The remaining amount available is 16 million. We do have payments due this fiscal year. So in November, we have an interest payment of $455,300. And then in May, we have principal and interest for a total of $935,300. So for the Armory project, we have claimed all $3 million of the ARPA funding and then the $4.6 million of the lease revenue bond. So speaking of ARPA, we have a few projects that are still in process. So these are the remaining amounts. Can I get rid of this thing? Okay. So there is a remaining 1.7 million that needs to be expended and then claimed. But other than that, all projects that are not listed on here have been fully claimed. And everything is on track to be fully claimed by or expended by December 31st of 2026. So next is a few different things going on in the marketing and economic development budget. And so the Housing Trust Fund, so there was an MOU that your board approved, which allocated 1/9 of the TOT collected for last fiscal year going to the Housing Trust Fund. So just under $136,000 will be transferred. Additionally, One Team, One Dream has sent a funding request. I know we've talked about that a few times recently, and we were all under the assumption that it was not moving forward this year, but they are requesting their 50,000. So that is still in the budget if your board would like to approve that. We do have a recommended change for the capital projects, budget unit 1778. We would like to remove the funding for the South Main Street and Soda Bay water line, as that project has been on hold for multiple years, and at this time it's not moving forward. It may in the future, and we can put funds back in at that time, but we do have more urgent needs for general fund projects, which include the HVAC, which is on the capital asset list but is not fully funded, and then the board chambers, bathrooms, and the fourth floor.
That changed after the posting?
It's
Because in
not
the capital asset, I still see that it's actually it was brought back up to 2 million, I believe is what it stated
Correct.
in the memo. Here you're saying we're removing the 2 million.
We would like to. So we wanted to have that conversation today, but we did not put that in there yet.
Okay, so it hasn't been removed.
Correct. So, and then just as a housekeeping note, when requests do come to your board during the budget hearings, it's unlikely that the administrative office has already vetted them. And so it would be best if we can have time to follow the budget process and make sure that those projects are fully vetted so that funding can be allocated strategically. An example of this is buildings and grounds. The money pulled from the Building and Infrastructure Reserve of $282,000 that was pulled at recommended budget. It would have been best to wait until final budget so that we could put FBA in instead of pulling from a reserve. So we are actually proposing that we replenish the reserve with the $282,000 of FBA. Lastly, a recap on the contingency and reserves for general fund. So contingencies, we are proposing an increase of $1 million, and that is for cash flow purposes. The largest component of the general fund reserves is property tax, which typically hits around December 10th. And so this will allow for additional cash flow. Last year, the auditor's office did pull about $5 million from the general reserve to allow for that cash coverage until December 10th property taxes came in. And your board approved a reduction to the general parks reserve, $300,000 for Hammond Park and $100,000 for the Milltown Pool Enclosure design and planning. Additionally, the technology modernization reserve, we have it budgeted for the $2 million repay from behavioral health and a decrease of $4 million for the ERP conversion. Lastly, your board approved moving $4 million from the Canvas salary stabilization reserve to the budget stabilization reserve.
All right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for the public since we have no questions yet from the board. Anyone from the public would like to come up and talk about this? Come on up, sir. I didn't see your pen. My bad, Bruno.
We'll listen first.
Hello. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Ayaz Murray. I'm the founder, president, and executive director of Quadruple Threats. It's a nonprofit organization that has now moved into your county. We are located in Nice, and we provide supervised visitation services. So my question is really of interest to this agency. I looked through what was posted on the budget, and who pays for family court services?
Please continue until your 3 minutes is up and we'll answer all your questions.
Okay. That's one of my questions. And then the other is more of a comment. Living in the Nice area, I want to be ensured that we have good public safety services there. So I noticed there's rural money, but I noticed it was spent on, I think, equipment and not on services. So that's my other question. as well. And so I would like to present these flyers to the council, Board of Supervisors, explaining the agency. And I also, excuse me, seem to be running into some resistance here in getting services started in the county. I was told by the CEO of the court that they have one provider in the county and they don't need any more providers. We are a state-funded, grant-funded program, and we offer our services for free.
So let's just stick to the budget. I know you're talking about your services and what you could provide. We can get you in touch with who it is you want to talk to about that. But with regard to the budget, we're going to stick to those line items or those questions. You have your question, I think, can be addressed. I know one of them you mentioned too was safety. You're talking about the Nice area, right?
Correct, yeah.
And the Nice area has what's called the community-oriented targeted police and restoration, targeted restoration. So that has the copter program. I think I said it right. But that's in place to cover the question that you asked about safety. And I'll let you go ahead and answer the other question if you know it. Sorry, the question that the gentleman had about
Family services
family services
in the court system.
in the court system. Or do you have a recommendation of who we would send them to talk with about that?
Depends on which part of the service he's talking about, because social services would be involved, but then also either the DA or public defender.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking specifically about family court. Who pays for those services? Is that federal money and state money?
Well, we're going to have to get you in touch with either the social services director or something of that like. This is just pertaining to what we're spending. So we're kind of veering off into kind of like a Q&A about what the county has for services, and we can't get that far out of it. So appreciate it. We're going to have to touch base with you after.
Okay,
Somebody orders.
understandable. I didn't see it in the budget anywhere.
Is that?
Go ahead and please send me an email, Stephen Carter. My card's outside of admin, because depending on how you frame your question will be who you need to talk to.
Okay. Well,
Appreciate your questions and appreciate you looking into what you're doing. Any other comments or?
Olga Martin Steele. I'm from Clear Lake Oaks, and I am co-founder and also chair of the small business competition known as Hands Up Lake County. And I noticed that you will be discussing and making a decision. I've submitted a letter, hopefully answering some of the questions, primarily that we are going to have a program this year. And when you get to that item, I'm standing ready to hopefully answer any questions you might have.
Any other comments from the public on Zoom? All right, I'll bring it back to the board. And Supervisor Sabatier, you did have your pen up. There you go.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. There was quite a number of changes that occurred, and some were probably small changes due to the new MOUs that we signed, and so little adjustments needed to be made. I know it was brought up about timing, and this came to us on Thursday at 4 o'clock. Makes it really difficult to dissect through that many pages to find all the changes that have occurred, and I hope that we can find a way to decrease or increase the number of days that not only we as Board of Supervisors have to digest, because even though it's smaller number of changes or smaller amount of stuff to review compared to the full breadth of the budget that we go through in June, the memo doesn't describe everything that was changed. And so to me, the details matter, and that makes it difficult. So if we can help to not only give us more time, but also the public more time to digest, I think it would be really good. And I'm hoping technology will be something that can help us with that. I know we're working on a new ERP right now for our new finance system. There were, I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but there was some comments, or at least within the my process of going through it on budget unit 1785, which is special projects for safety facilities, which I'm guessing is for the renovation of the of either the jail roof or of the armory. Our loan revenue went down due to is that due to the use of the fund balance carryover that was used for the jail? Are we using those funds to pay off the loan? Are we using those funds to, like, what, it doesn't explain how that money is being used other than the loan amount went down. So I'm just kind of curious, are we paying it off? Because the less we pay off, the more we end up paying in interest, and just kind of curious which direction it went.
So it would have been reduced based on when we had first developed this budget in April. We've paid bills since then. So we have drawn down some of those funds. So the revenue did decrease, but also the appropriations decreased.
But did we also swap, like, the carryover, keep the loan? Because I know the loan, it had some nebulous projects that it might be used for other than the armory. Just kind of curious.
Where's Steven?
So I was waiting for Casey. So we lower it down to our actual estimate usage of that year. So even though there's 16 million left to draw down on said loan bond, we only budget for what is going to be utilized that year. So that means that's all we plan on using this year. And if that number changes, we change it at mid-year.
Okay. It was a drastic change, so I had to ask. I think it was 1 point something million, which was close to what we said we were using in.
And there would be carryover FBA, but not bond related, because we aren't allowed to pull down the bond until we spend it. So we have to have the invoice in hand to draw down the funding.
Right. So appreciate that. Just a couple little things before I get to my asks here. In the past, in June, I had asked for where operating transfers in and operating transfers out are coming from. Many of those changed between June and here, but there's not a list of the transfers, and it's hard to understand where money is moving around in our budget when it doesn't specifically identify on that list. And I think that's an easy list that can be updated for our final. I hope that we can see that next June. I hope we can see that in the ongoing process and not just a one time. Same thing with our capital assets. It's really nice to know when did this project originate and get placed on the capital asset, and be able to better understand the longevity of how long they've been on there. I appreciate that we want to talk about Soda Bay, and I don't really want to talk about Soda Bay without hearing first from Vice Chair Rasmussen, but we do either need to fish or cut bait on that one, in my opinion. We have to figure this out. I was surprised to see that and there seemed to be some confusion, that there's an additional position being placed for Parks and Rec for what appears to be programming. I want to just get clarification. We're adding that position, or it's being shared? Can you please help identify, because that's different from where we were in June. We did talk about it in the sense of potentially reducing discretionary funds in order to be able to afford that, and all of a sudden it's here, and I don't know how we got here and what exactly that means budget-wise.
Sure. So that position is going to be a flex position. So it's either going to be the coordinator that was approved in June or the planner that is before you today. So it's one allocation, one FTE, but could be one or the other.
And it doesn't affect the budget on Parks and Rec? It fits with what it was originally?
It would potentially increase it if it's the planner position that's filled, but we would have to talk with the department at the time that it's filled.
Okay. And I appreciate the, I guess, creativity in trying to make that work within that system. Having programs and activities is not a bad thing. One couple of things that really concerned me was a decrease in our animal control medical care, and wondering why there's a decrease in anticipated expenditures.
So that one would be
we're
for
struggling to
me.
find a vet, and lowering that just doesn't seem to aim towards finding ourselves a vet.
So let me answer something on the position first. The reason why you see it on the position allocation is because it's an entirely new classification, so it has to show on the position allocation as a new position. That doesn't mean there's an FTE related. Now, related to animal control, that was lowered because our fund balance available was lower, and that is the only place in the budget that there is money to remove. So I agree with you that we need more money there, but without general fund being put into there or a vet being hired, there is no extra funding to move around. So I believe it was a little over 50 grand of our FBA was lower than our anticipated in June. So we had to take that from somewhere. We took 3 months of salary savings from the vet position and then also lowered that to make the numbers work. So it wasn't a preference, it was financially feasible.
And thank you for that. And not hopefully I didn't state that it was a preference of whoever to reduce that. I just don't know that that's conducive to solving the issue of finding ourselves a vet and setting ourselves up with a budget that is now less likely to potentially find a vet if we're going to have less funding made available. I'll continue. I know we talked about it last June about potentially adding an animal control officer to Copter. It was part of the original conversation when we did the Roadmap Task Force. Copter is an extension of the Roadmap Task Force. I know we were saying we want to wait till there's an animal control director, and I think we have the funding, and I want to just force it through and bypass it because I think we need to have proactive enforcement of our animal control laws. And waiting for an animal control director is still happening, and I don't know how much longer that's going to take. And it's not going to change my mind that I think that's what we need. We saw great numbers coming out of the Roadmap Task Force. We got great results, feedback from the community as well. And we have an issue that is not going to wait for the director. It's only going to get worse. And I would like to, my solution for that is we have $1 million that is going into what was it, the stabilization, was it the budget
Contingency?
stabilization?
There's 4 million going into the budget stabilization, 1 million into contingencies.
Into the contingency. We have not touched our contingency in possibly over a decade. It's been the same. That's why we added to it. And so I think reducing it by 100,000 or whatever the cost is for a fully loaded animal control officer is something I would like to put on the table to take a look at, just because I would like to move forward with that, because today we have new puppies being born and the problem continues to be exacerbated the longer we wait, and we don't have an animal control director at this moment in time.
So are you wanting to add a person or add to the?
Add a position allocation that would be dedicated to Copter for the proactive policing and enforcing of our animal control laws.
Okay.
Hang on, Bruno.
Stephen, go ahead.
On that note, as the animal control director interim, I would agree with that. That's just not where I would pull the funding from. I understand it has been lowered in the last decade. It has only been increased since our first MOU 4.5 years ago. That's when we raised it from 1.5 in the contingencies up to where it is. And the reason why we're doing it now is we really need it for the cash flow related to general fund. Now, all the other Copter expenses are out of the cannabis fund. So from my non-animal control side, from my admin side, it should be included in there as well. Even though it's an ongoing expense, our revenues through that budget unit are coming in pretty consistent, 2.5+ million. So we do have the ongoing revenue to cover it, but I think it should be like revenue for the same service.
3.5 million, according to the memo.
Correct. I didn't want to say extra, but
And so wherever it comes from, if it needs to come from cannabis, I'm in full support of that. I just would like to see that position started and get moving on updating Copter and adding animal control to that.
And I agree with animal control needing services or anything that has to do with solving our problem. But in talking with some folks that had, been working on the solution, they recommend more assistance with programming, with donations to the actual programs that are doing the spay and neuters. So I don't know, maybe we have to talk further about what it looks like, whether we do both, whether we do one or the other. I just know that the folks that are on the boots on the ground, with the SPA or whatever,
SPCA.
yeah, SPC, they're mentioning that more funding and it would help with that resources. But if you think another, I don't know, Stephen, you would know if another animal control person would help.
So another animal control officer will definitely help, but it wouldn't help in the areas that you're talking about where we need, more adoption clinics or more spay and neuter clinics. That would be a different set of dollars and fix a different problem.
Right.
So
And that's, I'm not trying to create that. I'm just trying to aid those that are already doing it to help with that problem is really, but that, I was just mentioning that because you mentioned animal control, so.
No, absolutely. And I'll stop there at this moment in time.
Brad, I know you're next.
Yes, sorry. With regard to the 2 million, I didn't know that there was going to be a request today to remove it, but I'm not in favor of removing it at this point because I know the city is still willing to partner and have discussions on fire suppression. That commercial area has a significant fire risk. There's no fire suppression system down there. A lot of the businesses that are operating can't even effectively operate their sprinklers. I know that I haven't officially heard a response. I expect the answer to be no on that 7 million that we asked for Congress earlier this year. I don't think there's been maybe I'm wrong, but has there been a formal response to that? So that's still out there?
They've been canceled.
Or have they formally been canceled, all of that?
Yeah, the community program's being canceled.
So we're not anticipating receiving that funding. It would be a surprise at this point in time.
And then I understood there was another $850,000 request for Congress that was still out there. I'm not clear as to whether or not that was for the South Main Road project or water or fire suppression.
That was for the South Main Road project, and again, we don't have an update at this time that makes that funding secure.
Okay. Well, I realize that this money's been there a long time, but I think we have significant fire concerns there, and I would like to at least explore discussions with the city on how we could have some kind of a partnership to improve fire suppression there before we make the decision. It's up to the board, but that's my request before we make a decision to remove that money and then don't have the option to use it if there's a viable plan that could be found with further discussions with the city. So that's where I'm at with that one.
Supervisor Owen? Yeah.
Okay, I'm one that absolutely feels that animal control needs some more funding. We need to increase our vet allotment, our veterinarian allotment. I think we're going to have to increase that to get a vet in here. But because I see the issues and I'm dealing with other agencies outside, independent 501Cs that are trying to do spay and neuter clinics. And the funding, we can bring in like a team of vets, but it's a big price tag to get a couple hundred done in a weekend, So I think those are some programs that maybe we need to look at, but I think we do need to increase the animal control budget. And I like the idea of having somebody with the copter, and I do understand that it's a different aspect of what both Supervisor Sabatier and Supervisor Crandall were talking about. So, but I think that is important. I have a couple of things for Mr. Lars. I wanted to make sure that Morgan Valley is on the financial aspects of this. I didn't see it on your road list. Morgan Valley,
Sorry, I missed
because I just didn't see it on the road list.
Sure.
Funding.
Interim Public Works Director Lars Ewing. Quick answer to that is that not every road that is being worked on is included on the capital
Okay,
plan.
I just didn't want to run out of money to do it.
Absolutely. That's
So-
there's a lot of work that's not on the capital asset list.
Okay.
It's being done through what's called the services and supplies budget. So it's in there for motor.
Perfect. Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Okay, was that it?
That's it. Thank you, sir. I do believe too for January, is it January we go back into budgets for mid-year? If we could have more time to look at them. That would be amazing if we could. It's just really tough to get through this much in a couple of days. So that would be huge.
Yeah, mid-year is a little different than final. Final, we have to wait for FBA, and so that was if we had that sooner, we would have had the budget to you sooner. Not a whole lot, maybe a week, but mid-year we should be able to get a little bit sooner than a week.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Thank you.
Steven, did you have something?
Well, I wanted to say the FBA definitely is the reason, because the auditor's office can't calculate it until at least a week or so into September, because the accrual period ends August 30th. That doesn't mean all of a sudden, oh, poof, it's done. So I want to make sure it's not the auditor's fault. It's just simply timing of when those numbers can get to us.
Right. I was just hoping with technology, it might help.
The new system may or may not make that easier.
Thank you.
I can't answer that for sure.
Supervisor Pyska?
Well, I don't disagree about the conversation with animal control, but we're looking at positions, potentially adding a position, adding more programs to Copter, which is different funding sources, and we're looking at cannabis funding for Copter. I don't really want to make that decision on the fly today. I would like it to come back so that we could really have a more robust conversation and a strategy on how we're going to prioritize that funding. And I'm not in support of funding One Team, One Dream. I think it's a great program. I just giving money away in this way to be awarded to different business owners is a gift of public funds. And we had a long conversation about economic development earlier. We have a lot of programs that really bolster economic development, and really, what was the quote earlier today? We're building the ecosystem to support small businesses, and we're putting a lot into that. And I can't support giving this money as gifts. We do not ever see any reports coming back on how this money has been spent. We just give it, and I've been against it for several years, so I'm going to continue to be against it today.
I'll just say I do support that, Jessica, and I'm glad you brought it up because I forgot to. I had it on my, thank you.
Right.
Can I ask you a question about that? Appreciate your comments. Do you see any other way to structure it where that would be something that would be considerable?
I mean, we just spent a lot of money earlier today supporting the chamber and the EDC, which I think is great and it's all really needed. But the way this ask is structured is as prize money. I know that there are, I think One Team, One Dream has relied on the EDC and some of the other programs that we have, which we have figured out how to pay for in other ways, and we've used CDBG grants. We have a lot of free technical support for our entrepreneurs. It seems a little bit redundant to be funding both of these. But that's a lot of money to spend today just on that.
Supervisor Sabatier?
I'd love to offer that, because I don't disagree. I think there needs to be longer conversations as far as the animal control stuff goes. Wondering if we can at least open up the a certain amount of dollars from cannabis and say we're going to have further discussions to figure it out, because I do not want to kick it down the road till mid-year in February. But at least if we say we unlock 150 grand, 120 grand, whatever that number might be, it doesn't get put into a specific bucket, but it can be allocated to something that allows us to manipulate it when we get ready to make those changes and to have that specific conversation. I think that conversation needs to occur. I don't know if I know we had a roadmap task force committee. I don't know if there is a copter committee, but it should come from that group of folks that would say this is the best tool, this is the best way to utilize these funds to make a difference in the animal population and the issues that we're seeing, and then come back to the board with those options and ideas. But I definitely don't want to take zero actions where we have to wait till basically February, which is typically what we would say today on certain things like that. And so I just want to kind of unlock it so that it is available, so that it's easily changed if we need to make that decision.
Well, I feel like we're just throwing a dart at a board then, right now. We are moving funds around, and cannabis revenue has been incredibly helpful for COPTR, Roadmap Task Force, and there is a way that we can really help the issue here, but it's not really a defined ask right now, and I'm always uncomfortable. You know this, we've been working long enough together. I'm always uncomfortable with just coming up with these things on the fly. So I don't know what the right number is, and it is COPTR is running in a district that's not mine, not yours. So I don't really know is my answer. I guess I would like to see something. I think we could probably figure out how to do it before February if we had some guidance maybe from the program on how much more would be needed. How do you feel about that, Chair? Are you okay with just throwing a dart to the board?
No, I think we have I think it's an ad hoc group that we put together. We haven't met since we created the program, though. So it would
The
probably
latest
be-
version of it.
Yeah, the latest version of COPTR. So we'd probably have to come back together on that and look at what's needed. Steven?
I am looking at the payroll projection report, so just so there's a hard number to it, an animal control officer under their current pay would be about 65,000 is what we would need to budget.
To have one officer support
Support COPTR.
COPTR. Okay.
And that would be a new FTE
And-
for COPTR.
What's already there would fit that, bless you. I'm pretty sure what's already, because I think it was, 1 million per year for that? And we didn't, when we did Roadmap Task Force, we didn't even really hit that amount, did we? Do you remember?
I thought we were like 800,000.
Yeah. Okay. Well, are we looking at a different time to talk about that, or should we have the ad hoc committee? I mean, I'm fine with doing that, but again, I know that the budget usually encumbered the first Roadmap Task Force. It had the animal control in it. So
Well, if we're just adding a single position and we know what that dollar amount is right now, I'm okay with that. And that is, a lot less than the number that was suggested.
And that's a fully loaded? Sounds low.
Does sound low, but I'm looking at it on paper, yes. I would ask for 75 just to be safe,
I can do
in
that.
case someone comes at a step 3 kind of thing.
And I'd like to offer that and go with that, just to at least potentially set that up and open the conversation still within, we create the ad hoc committee, open up the conversation and figure out how best to maneuver through that. Maybe it's hiring somebody, or maybe it's coming back and saying, we want to realign it to a program and services through some sort of spay and neuter program or something. I don't know. But it's a good start, and I would say yes, since it seems like there's a potential yes in the air.
yeah, I'm fine.
I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
Did you have something new?
I do. I'm for what you're talking about right now. I just do want to add that I would like to see a more robust animal control agency here. Something that where we have at least somebody on call on the weekends. I know personally, I came across a couple weeks ago on a Sunday, came across what looked like a rabid raccoon in the middle of Middletown. So there's nobody to call. We've called sheriff. Nope. We made a number of different calls, including 911, and it did not get taken care of. So we just need to be able to look at that, as well as the spay and neuters, which are out of control. So I just would like to see us, and not right now, not in this budget, but I do want to start looking at having a more robust animal control.
Steven?
I would be more than happy to work with my staff to later date come back with what that would cost, but my initial thought is at least 400,000 or 500,000 more general fund dollars to animal control, because it would take at least a staff, and since we don't have a vet, I'm not turning it down, just letting you know the range it's probably going to be in to have spay and neuter clinics, et cetera, without a vet.
Sure.
Did you have yours?
I just wanted to comment one more if I could on the One Team, One Dream. I appreciate the comments from the supervisors on the structure of it, but I did want to point out that, I think that the prize money is, the questionable part that we're talking about right now, but they are doing training with these businesses, so I think there's aspects of what they're doing that is contributing to the economic development, so I don't know if we're open to having further discussions with them about other ways that we could help them in the future. So I'm just throwing that out.
Good.
And on that page, I am thinking in the same vein of maybe some of that looks like fee reductions, where we can provide fees to community development, to public works, to whoever, special districts, to help out with some of the expansions or some of the work that is being planned for these businesses that want to grow. That's not a gift to them, but it's us reducing our fees for certain things. There could be a way to reverse that in another way. I know that I plan to support this on a personal level if it's not going to pass today. I think that this is us providing funding, and yes, we need an agreement in order to make it appropriate, but this is us providing funding to somebody who does a economic development program that, yes, specific money goes to specific people. We gave $10 million away during, or was it 10 million? I think it was 1 to 2 million during our COVID times in order to support our businesses. We still need to support our businesses. It's really tight. PG&E is killing our businesses and so on and so forth. There is a way through a nonprofit process that it's not a gift of public funds, that it's through a program that nonprofit is running. So I'm comfortable with the way that it's set up. I think a very robust contract agreement on expectations, responsibilities is important, but I don't think that this is beyond some of the other stuff that we do, just like giving money to NCO, that then they fix people's homes. We didn't give gift of funds to that person's home. We didn't fix all the homes. We gave it to a program that happened to fix very select
But
homes.
we didn't fund that program. That's funded through FEMA.
I'm talking about NCO build.
Okay.
And so I think there's similarities in the sense that nonprofits create the opportunity where it's not a gift of funds. We're not choosing who we give it to.
Well, disagree, but Olga's here.
Go ahead.
Is it appropriate for me to comment at
Yes.
this time?
Yes, I closed
well-
public input, but I'll give you the chance.
Oh,
to
had you
comment.
closed public input?
Yes, but I'll
Sorry.
give you the chance to.
Thank you, appreciate it. I did want to clarify a couple of things. There is nobody else doing what we do. So Economic Development Corporation, the Chamber, they are not doing this project. I am not at all opposed to some kind of an agreement, but I did want to point out that the benefit does not go to the volunteers. We're all volunteers. In fact, we put our own money into it. And it does go to the businesses, and the businesses, and this year we were going to focus on food and beverage businesses, very much go to the core of what creates a strong economic tourism program and feedback. We're not going to have it if we don't have the services that people will require to come back here. So I also looked at your economic development and marketing unit, and it seems that what we're doing directly supports that unit. So some agreement with that unit, we're definitely open to. I've worked government all my life. I understand the concern about gift of public funds. But this is not a gift of public funds, in my opinion. This is a support for small businesses, for entrepreneurialism, entrepreneurialism. Sorry, that's always been a hard word for me. But I did want to clarify, Supervisor Pyska, that this is not what, actually, NCO, none of those organizations are doing what we're doing. We are definitely a unique program. And the only reason we exist is to help build a strong and resilient economy here in Lake County. So I did want to just offer that clarification. And as to results, outcomes, they are in the letter report that I supplied. We've got an 84% success rate. Some of our businesses are reaching populations outside of Lake County. And notwithstanding what TID does and notwithstanding what the others do, they are, they're making us look pretty good. And some of our businesses are pivoting, demonstrating that they can pivot. We've got a culinary program here in Lake County. This contest would be open to entrepreneurs from that group. The level of support, I just want to emphasize, is very different and not like anything that anybody is doing in this community. They're around in other states, and they are supported by government entities. We get supported by government businesses and individuals. We reach out to everybody. That's all I'll say. Thank you for your consideration, unless you have any questions.
All right. Stephen?
So if it becomes too big of an issue, we could utilize discretionary revenue if some board members do want to do this and others don't, just as a,
Yeah,
Side
I've always
possibility.
supported it, but it looks like it's, to make sure that this budget passes, it has to have 4 votes, right? And so with this situation being a 3-2, is that where we have to go with this? We have to change that budget item, or?
Lloyd can certainly answer, but
All right.
yes.
Yes, yes, that is correct. Any changes to what's before your board today are 2 resolutions: resolution approving the final budget and all the details that flow from that, and then the other resolution is the position allocations. Any changes that would be made to those as a result of your board's discussion would lead to a resolution being offered as amended.
Well, it's already in the budget as of right now.
Correct.
All right. So you had something, Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, I do want to hit up on a couple other things. South Main Street, I'm happy to leave it there, but we need to this year needs to be the final year where we decide if we're doing something or not. I'm concerned that if we do get the road done, that makes it that much more incredibly difficult to break open a road that we just did to put in some water main. If we don't get the road done, I think that gives us a continued opportunity to do so. And definitely with a conversation with the city, because there's some history there where we could have been done by now, but we tripped each other up. So I think that let's utilize this year in a productive way to figure this out, because that's $2 million that has been held in limbo for quite some time. And so I support continuing in this year rather than removing it. But let's get to a final destination at the end of this year.
And I don't disagree. We need to get to finality with that, but I just feel like we have to have some more conversations.
And then I'm not going to say no to the budget, but I do want to at least express some things that I don't think is explained. From what I understand, admin is adding another position allocation that just popped up after the posting of the agenda. Is that what I saw?
Admin is not. There is one for the district attorney, and then they will be removing a position. And there is one for public works, and they're removing 2 once those are vacant. So those are not actually slated to be removed right now. Once they're vacant, they'll be removed next mid-year.
Okay.
Admin doesn't have any.
It makes it slightly confusing when there's changes in such a little amount of time and then brand new changes that happened after the posting. And I thought we were talking about admin. There's another one that I'm sure I will not make some folks happy, additional person for our auditor controller. I just, at this moment, I'm seeing we're paying contractors to help out with the software we're installing and we're adding more staff. It's adding and adding and adding, and I am concerned and don't understand the reason for the adding, where we're paying a contractor to oversee the installation of a software that I think the software should be the one overseeing the installation to make sure they do it right. We hold them accountable to the contract we signed, but yet we're spending more money than I would like to spend. Again, not going to say no to the budget, just expressing it, putting it on record.
May I make a comment on that position for the auditor? So they're actually removing one upon next vacancy, so it's going to be the same total number of FTEs. We just have to add that position.
Genevieve?
Well, I was going to say what she said. Yeah. So the payroll supervisor position, it actually existed before, and so we just put the lead payroll person back into a supervisory position, but it's being swapped. It's not an additional position. Sorry for any confusion.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to express some frustration. How am I supposed to know that from this memo?
There's
When
no
it says
star.
one new payroll supervisor, budget unit 1121.
On the position allocation, which was
Which we never got.
left off. And so there is an asterisk on there that does say remove upon next vacancy. So
Can we show Exhibit A and B since Exhibit A and B was never made public, please, before we go through our formal process of approving things? Because Exhibit A was the position allocation list, which we did not get, and Exhibit B was the classification list, which we did not get. And I just think it's right for us to show the public, because I'm confused. I can't imagine where they sit and how they're seeing this.
Is there a way we can post it and then they can see it after the fact?
It
Or
is
they have it right
currently
here?
posted.
Okay, please.
yeah. I think.
And there are additional changes that we haven't verbalized yet.
Sorry. That's Exhibit A with the new classifications, and then next is Exhibit B with the entire position allocation. It's too small. So on the Auditor Controller 1121, there is little itty bitty asterisks next to a couple of the payroll positions. And so we're removing the payroll analyst 1-2 senior and replacing it with a payroll analyst 1-2 and removing the payroll specialist 1-2 upon next vacancy.
Since we're talking about the payroll, the position allocation, there is one other change that did happen after it was posted, and that's where if you notice in the main part where the sheriff was changing one of their coordinator positions to a staff services manager, that's their head fiscal. We are also requesting the same change for the district attorney's office. Their two head fiscal staff have been coordinators instead of managers like every other department for many years, and we've tried to fix that.
Overall, what is the increase between June and today for position allocations for general fund in total?
I do not have that specific in front of me.
I'll get that from you later.
Do you mean from the raises or just the changes that we're making today? Those are different
From
things.
June to September, based on the changes that were made between the initial recommendation and the final recommendation, what is the position allocation difference? And I'll get that from you guys later.
All right. So are we finished with that portion of the questioning? And we have that up right here so people can see. Back to what we were talking about when it comes to the One Team, One Dream. So I just want to make sure that we're on the same page with this. We could hypothetically could pass it just by saying, I offer the resolution, or I motion to, and then we would have a potential 3-2, or I don't know. I'm just trying to get to a point where we do this without confusion, because we obviously have a difference and we need 4-1.
So this is part of the actual final budget vote.
Right.
So if this item is going to prevent a 4/5 vote, likely it needs to be removed and dealt with a different way. So, or we change that it's not included, and then it becomes the 4/5 vote. And we can bring it back as a separate item if requested.
So technically, we're ready for action, and if you're willing to stop the vote, is that how we're going? I just want to
Well,
get.
can't we just amend it? I have a question.
Go ahead.
If we pull it out right now, can we amend that particular ask later and work it so that it would legally work? So, because that's what I just need to know, that it's gonna all mesh and we can discuss it. So if we can pull it out now and then bring it back separately, would that work? No?
And I think that could work. I guess I have to say something. It's very strange. I mean, the concept of why to say no is weird, that no, it's a gift of funds if we have it in our budget, but it's not a gift of funds if we use discretionary funds, is a really strange thing for me to hear, because it's government no matter what. So either A, you say you don't want to and we shouldn't, period, or you don't want the program. I don't know, but I just feel like I'm being given an option here, and I'm also feeling like I'm being trapped into an option that my colleagues are telling me is illegal in the first place, which I don't believe it is. So I don't disagree with your comment. The 50,000 can remain, and we say we must have a future conversation before it gets utilized. Like, you do not get to send 50,000 without further conversation, and that can be swapped over to a different way of doing it. But I would love to get a finding from our county council as to whether or not this is a gift of public funds, which would seal at least this conversation rather than us having this conversation at the dais. And you don't have to do that right now. That could be at a later conversation for the 50,000. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Brad?
Well, I think we could remove it. The money is still going to be there. It's not part of the budget anymore, but then we bring it back, we discuss it. And if we decided to fund it, that money is still in our coffers. So I don't see a problem with pulling it out and then bringing it back for discussion. We can approve
Once Lloyd.
the budget without that piece in it, but what I'm saying is the money is still in our account. And if we have a discussion and decided to fund it later, we have the money. If that makes sense, that's.
Yeah, I just feel, I think I could support it if I know that everything, I just want to have a deeper dive into it so that I understand it a little better. So I think I would like to go the way that Mr. Rabson just mentioned, with pulling it out for now. And then I just need to
If
be,
it's a gift of public funds or
yeah,
not.
find out the legalities to it and have a little more conversation on it.
And if it's approved, if there's any contract that we go
Yeah.
with it at that
Yep.
time. We haven't discussed that either, so. That's just my suggestion at this point, and then we don't have this complexity with approving the budget in general.
All right, Lloyd, is there anything?
Okay, so with Vice Chair Rasmussen's suggestion, with that amount still being in the coffers, as you framed it, it would still result in money being moved around from a specific budget fund / unit, so that it would still result in offering the resolution as amended, because based on, just how the resolution was initially presented to your board today, it would still be offered as amended with, and your board can provide that can cover that proposal by providing direction to staff. on when to come back, under what parameters. That can be done by direction of staff as it relates to this amount.
All right. So with that, how much time do we think that needs for, to look into the gift of public funds? So we can give it a month,
30 days.
30 days.
That would work.
Is, yeah, we'll go with 30 days and then we'll come back, discuss this, see how we can work it from there, if there is a finding or if there's not.
We'll try to make the last board meeting of October.
That's not
I
going to
won't be
work.
here.
I
Okay.
think the first meeting in November.
Then we'll do,
That works.
let's do that then. That should work.
That is doable.
And if I may, Chair, just
Go
to,
ahead.
with the email that I received this morning and the budget narratives that was uploaded in June, it's 11 total permanent positions that have been added since the June one.
All right, with that, I think we're ready for action.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes,
Because I don't know if there was a consensus. So if there's no modification regarding the South Main money,
Oh, yeah. No,
then that
we'll-
stays in
Yeah.
unless somebody makes a modification.
Oh, no, it stays.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead. Did you
So
have-
before you guys make a motion, I would like Casey to go over the changes since posting, so all the ones that are amended. There's a couple that I know she hasn't said yet, so I'll let her see. I'd like to see what she has first.
Okay. So for the position allocation, increase one staff services manager in budget unit 2110, one administrative assistant senior in budget unit 1903, remove upon next vacancy two public works service technicians in budget unit 1903, increase one staff service analyst 1/2 in budget unit 5011, and decrease one staff services specialist in budget unit 5011. You go through all. Okay, so the non-position changes. So for the Housing Trust Fund, we need to budget in Fund 001, Budget Unit 1892, 5210 for $135,887.90 to be transferred from the TOT revenues.
No pennies at budget time.
Sorry, no pennies. Okay, $888. To exact. Okay. For probation, there was an extraordinary request for a solar backup battery. So we need to create the capital asset in probation 2302 in the capital asset account 6313 in the amount of $210,599. In sheriff, for the budget unit 2301, need to budget for two convection ovens in account 6274 for $20,000. And we'll be moving the funds from object code 18 maintenance. For marketing and economic development, budget unit 1892, the approved funds for the EDC and the chamber for $60,000 total. Need to budget out of cannabis in budget unit 1072, object code 8123, $60,000. And then in on 1892, object code 8122, the $60,000, and then appropriate it in 2830 for $60,000.
All right, she doesn't have that one. So, at the end of last fiscal year, 24-25, Behavioral Health was awarded state grant for mobile crisis vehicles. One of those vehicles came in damaged, so they need to reorder, and I decline to allow that to be ordered until there's a capital asset within the 25-26 budget to make it kosher, we'll call it. But it is state funded, and the reason why it was removed is like our previous conversation in a prior board meeting. Admin lowered behavioral health's budget, 25-26 budget, to mirror 24-25's due to the fluctuations in funding, et cetera. that also meant we removed all the capital assets, including those vehicles. So the request is, it's a state-funded, not part of their current financial issues. It's an actual grant for one last vehicle for their mobile crisis in Fund 4014, Fund number 145, Budget Unit 4014, account 6272, and it would be for one mobile crisis vehicle in the amount of, Elise, I don't have an amount just for that one vehicle.
Greetings. I believe that the total allocation she was talking about, I was just talking with our fiscal manager. She said $250,000, but I know the vehicle.
That was all of them.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull that. I'm sorry.
Well, let's go with 50, and we'll not allow any budget transferability, meaning if it's not used, it is removed.
I have a question. So if the one that came in was damaged, aren't they going to make that right? And why is it?
They want us to reorder, and we weren't able to pay the invoice from the state grant before fiscal year changeover. So yes, but they don't have the asset to do the reorder.
So we have to pay it and then we'll get reimbursed?
Correct.
Perfect. Okay.
By the end of this month.
All right.
Is there any changes needed to be done in our amendment when it comes to the animal control discussion that we had for the 75 grand?
Correct. So no account number changes because we'll take care of that during mid-year process, since there will be about 5 different accounts that need to be increased. Our budget can handle the increase until mid-year when we would add those funds. The position allocation would need to change for ours to increase the overall officers by 1. And I'm wording it that way because I need Casey to see what we're at currently. I believe it's 4.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, there are currently 4, so increase it to 5.
And that makes that possible.
Thank you. My last comment is, as I look through the capital asset and see the amount of vehicles that we're planning to purchase, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, January 1st, 2027, 100% of the vehicles we purchase have to be zero emissions. Hopefully, because we've been held back by being a small county population, but in 2027, we have to start doing what every other county has been forced to do, every larger county. I hope that by mid-year, we can talk about, have we begun into the infrastructure process of ensuring that we're ready to do those things? Because I haven't seen a hybrid, let alone an electric vehicle coming through.
We do. We just drove them.
Yeah.
And there's chargers.
Yeah.
Correct, but I'll leave that to Central Garage and Public Services Director during mid-year to address. And I'll let Lars know about that request.
Good. I'm glad we're changing, but zero emission is a whole different thing too. So.
And Elise just texted me. The change for the vehicle is actually $51,848. So it's a pretty
right.
expensive vehicle.
Okay, so that's everything?
Yes.
Anything else to add, Lloyd? Anything else to add, Stephen? With that, I think we have what we need to move forward. Anybody wants to take action?
I offer the resolution with the amendments that have been stated.
Lloyd, did you want to add?
Only because since there are 2 resolutions, one's for the approval of the final budget, the other one is for the position allocation chart. Your board may want to offer them separately and identify the specific resolution. I could certainly walk the board through that requested. All right, so the first motion would be to offer the resolution adopting the final recommended budget for fiscal year 2025-26 as amended.
Offered.
Resolution has been offered.
All right. Supervisor Owen.
Aye.
Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Supervisor Rasmussen.
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska.
Yes.
And Supervisor Crandall.
Aye.
And the second motion would be to offer the resolution establishing new classifications. Make sure I got the the effective date thereof, and amending the position allocation chart for fiscal year 2025-26 to conform to the adopted budget as amended.
So offered.
Resolution has been offered.
Supervisor Owen,
Aye.
Supervisor Sabatier,
Aye.
Supervisor Rasmussen,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Crandall.
Aye. All right. Thank you very much for this, and we'll move past this next item.